China's government has reportedly ordered its domestic airlines to stop accepting deliveries of Boeing jets and to halt purchases of aircraft parts.
In a hushed Boeing hangar outside Seattle, rows of brand-new jetliners glint under fluorescent lights, fully built, painted in Chinese airline liveries, and utterly grounded. Beijing has just ordered its airlines to halt all new Boeing orders and even defer taking jets already promised. Half a world away in Washington, D.C., President Donald Trump hails his latest tariff salvo on TV, boasting that China just reneged on the big Boeing deal, not take possession of fully committed to aircraft, he fumes. The fate of America's largest exporter has become the highest stakes pawn in a bruising trade war, a geopolitical dogfight at 35,000 feet. A Boeing 737 MAX, wrapped in the red and gold of a Chinese airline, sits idle on a rain-slicked tarmac outside Seattle, fully built, fully paid, and fully rejected. Beijing had just pulled the plug, new aircraft orders frozen, deliveries halted. Boeing, America's largest manufacturing exporter, was now caught in the jet stream of a trade war spiraling out of control, and in Washington, Donald Trump doubled down. They reneged, he posted. Quote, "China won't get away with it." Make sure to hit like and subscribe before we start with the video. It really helps the channel grow. Let's rewind to the cold November in Beijing. Trump lands in Beijing to fanfare. In front of the cameras, a deal. 300 airplanes, $37 billion, a diplomatic trophy and economic spectacle. Boeing's stock soared. Trump called it a tremendous win for American jobs. Behind the scenes, executives exhaled. For years, Boeing's future had been tethered to China. Nearly 1 in every 4 commercial jets it built went there. Without Chinese orders, its assembly lines slowed, its suppliers suffered. The pact wasn't just about airplanes, it was a barometer of U.S.-China relations. But the celebration was short-lived. By early 2025, Trump declared economic war. First steel and aluminum tariffs, then came February 2025. Trump imposed a 10% tariff on all Chinese imports.
April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues.
Just a month later, the White House doubled down. The tariff surged to 20%, a clear signal that this was no bluff, no negotiating tactic. This was economic warfare, waged with steel and numbers. Then came April, and with it, the detonation. In an explosive escalation, the United States slapped a staggering 145% tariff on Chinese goods, the highest level in more than a century. It was not just policy, it was a declaration. A full-scale trade war, raw and historic, had begun. Beijing did not flinch. Retaliation came fast and cold. Among the American icons placed squarely in China's crosshairs was Boeing, one of the country's most visible and vulnerable industrial champions. The target? Not arbitrary. Boeing embodied everything Trump claimed to protect: U.S. innovation, blue-collar jobs, and global prestige. But it was also vulnerable. Each jet contained parts from dozens of countries. Cutting off China, even partially, threatened that delicate network. A single tariff could ripple through thousands of American jobs. At first, the damage was cosmetic. Beijing carefully crafted its tariffs. Analysts called it strategic restraint, a warning shot. China needs Boeing too, some said. They won't go nuclear, but geopolitics doesn't pause for logic. As trade talks collapsed, so did trust. 2025, Chinese airlines delayed orders. They stopped placing new ones. Behind closed doors, Boeing's leadership scrambled. And then came Kelly Ortberg, Boeing's newly anointed CEO, striding in like a beacon through the haze, carrying the weight of a wounded giant and the fragile hope of redemption on his shoulders. April 2025. Ortberg goes on record. Many of our customers in China have indicated they will not take delivery. We're not going to build aircraft for customers who will not take them. In the factories of Everett and Renton, rows of painted aircraft sat with nowhere to go, grounded not by technical failure, but by geopolitics. Ortberg didn't blink. There's plenty of customers out there looking for the MAX, he told CNBC. Boeing rerouted India, Vietnam, Indonesia, anywhere but China. But the loss stung, not just revenue, but leverage. Boeing's global dominance had always depended on open skies, economically and politically. Now, with China shuttered, Airbus circled, Boeing was in a problematic situation. Trump himself marveled that Boeing's output was so large it could swing U.S. GDP by half a percentage point. Boeing makes a tremendous portion of our GDP, he mused. This aerospace colossus was the United States' largest manufacturing exporter, with roughly 80% of its airplanes sold to overseas customers. A healthy Boeing meant a healthier American economy, a fact not lost on President Trump. Yet from the outset, Trump's relationship with Boeing was volatile. Before taking office, he aimed a Twitter broadside at Boeing's pricey Air Force One program. The tweet landed like a missile. Costs are out of control. More than $4 billion. Cancel order. In just 19 words, President Donald Trump launched a direct assault on Boeing's Air Force One program. The impact was immediate. Inside Boeing's headquarters, phones rang off the hook, panic spread through trading floors, and monitors flashed red as the company's stock plunged. Executives gathered in a glass-walled room, their expressions tight with disbelief. Dennis Muilenburg, Boeing's CEO at the time, wasted no time. There was no space for layers of bureaucracy. He reached for the phone himself. The call wasn't scheduled. It didn't go through aides. It was man-to-man. The line clicked. Trump's voice came through, sharp, confident, unrelenting. "Dennis, you saw the tweet." Muilenburg responded quickly, trying to keep his tone measured despite the urgency in his chest. "Mr. President, I did. Let me assure you, those numbers don't reflect the final deal. We can bring costs down. We will. We want Boeing to make money," Trump replied, cool and exacting. "But not that much. This plane, it's ridiculous." Muilenburg nodded instinctively, though Trump couldn't see it. "We hear you, sir. Let's fix this. We value this relationship." The call ended not warmly, not bitterly, just charged with significance. Within days, Boeing promised cost controls. The market calmed, the headlines softened. But the warning had been delivered, loud and clear. Even a giant like Boeing wasn't beyond being called out, cornered, and compelled to adjust. That clash between Trump and Boeing wasn't just about a contract. It was a sign, a harbinger. What lay ahead would make this look like a tremor before the earthquake. By April 2025, with tensions renewed and tariffs reaching as high as 145% on Chinese imports, Boeing's crisis situation would hopefully change with new CEO Kelly Ortberg. He publicly confirmed that Chinese airlines had stopped taking delivery of new aircraft due to the tariff environment. Due to the tariffs, many of our customers in China have indicated they will not take delivery, Ortberg said. "We're not going to continue to build aircraft for customers who will not take them." Ortberg's tone was blunt but pragmatic. He emphasized that Boeing would not let political headwinds derail its commercial recovery. "There's plenty of customers out there looking for the MAX aircraft," he stated in an interview with CNBC. Boeing began reallocating the undelivered jets to other global markets, including India and Southeast Asia. Despite supply chain challenges and increased production costs, Ortberg reaffirmed Boeing's commitment to adaptability. "I'm not going to let this derail the recovery of our company." He also stressed the broader economic stakes. While China was the only country halting deliveries, Boeing was bracing for additional ripple effects from ongoing trade tensions. "We're closely monitoring the situation," Ortberg told Reuters. "Free and fair trade policies are essential for our long-term success." Boeing was actively engaging U.S. policymakers to seek de-escalation, while quietly preparing contingency strategies to avoid over-reliance on politically sensitive markets. In Congress, hearings began. Lawmakers demanded answers. Was Boeing collateral damage? In closed-door meetings, Ortberg made his case. "This isn't just about jets. This is about the future of U.S. industrial leadership." The message was clear. Trade wars aren't theoretical. They have wings, and when they're grounded, the consequences are real.